And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting live update from Australian Indian Radio Studios here. And it's Friday. Yes, it is Friday. Looking forward to that weekend. And when we look out there, the weather is just amazing. This is one of those beautiful times of the year when it is a little bit cold, but during the day it becomes very, very pleasant. So let's take a look at what the weather is going to be doing for us. So the forecast for rest of Friday is maximum of 23. It's going to be sunny. There's no chance of rain at all. And the Brisbane area, it will be patchy and light morning frost, which was in the west, which we have seen. And there will be some light winds. Fire danger is low to moderate. But once again, whenever we talk about fire, always take that precaution. Be very, very careful. Sun protection, we are in Queensland, so that is recommended from now till about 1:30 p.m. The UV index is one notch up to 4, which is moderate. So as this is a Friday, let's take a very quick look at what the weather would be like for the weekend. So on Saturday, the minimum of 11 with a maximum of 23 and outlook for being sunny. And on Sunday, the minimum once again at 11 and maximum 24. So a little bit more, a bit warmer on Sunday. So you can go out and, plan those activities if you so wish. So that's the latest on the weather. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this show. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining in, for sharing our post, for the comments. And I would like to make a very special mention here of many of the community groups. There are many groups, as we know, there are many groups within Facebook, and all the groups and the admins who allow our posts to be shared on those groups. Thank you very much. It is really, really appreciated. And, because whatever we bring from here is for the community, is for the community's interest. So thank you very much for all those admins and all the groups which allow us to share our live post on your Facebook groups. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate that. Lots of all the individuals as well who share, comment, like, and forward our post. Thank you so much for that. We are overwhelmed by the response we're getting so far. I know we are far from being perfect. No one is perfect. There's always things that we can improve upon, and we strive to do that on a daily basis. But, it is wonderful to see the number of views that we are getting. And we'll try and bring as many interviews as we can with you. As today, you will see in one of the clips that we bring to you from the premiers, is honouring a lot of Queensland's greats, and the Mocom family is in there as well, of course receiving the OAMs as well. So that is a wonderful thing. So talking about OAM, the recipients this year, including myself, have been invited to a very, very grand royal lunch at the Government House today. So, after this show and a little bit of where we soap, that's where we'll be headed off to the Government House for a lunch reception hosted by the Governor of the Queensland in recognition of the hard work that's been done by the recipients and for recognizing them for the work that they're doing. And of course, we've got the weekend, and there's so much happening in the weekend. But tomorrow we will bring to you the weekend classic, and we will look at all the things that are happening in the weekend edition once again tomorrow from 10 a.m. from here. So once again, if you have just joined in, welcome. Hey, it's wonderful to see you. And how is your Friday going so far? Well, good to hear that. Well, right now, let's hear from our Prime Minister, and then we will look at the news that was on this morning about the JobKeeper and what's going to happen with all the things, and of course of Russia and their spies. Why is it always Russia? When you look at James Bond movies, and even in the olden days when we used to look at all the movies and espionage, and when it was talked about the Russian spies. So we'll look into that as again a little bit later on today. But right now, let's join our Prime Minister and see what his message is.
We need to ensure that we don't allow these setbacks to hold us back. Australians are incredibly resilient. And even as we go through these difficult times, let's lift our heads. Let's keep looking forward. Today's announcement on these skills supports are about looking forward to the jobs into the future and to ensure Australians can make the choices they need to get into those jobs by getting the training they need right now.
Authorised by S. Morrison. With the
And there you are, message from the Prime Minister. But right now, as we know, that all these talks that have been on there, so let's take a quick look at the interview that was done this morning.
Good morning. Let's start with the unemployment figures. The real rate is estimated to be around 13.3%. How bad will that figure get in the next few months?
Well, the results yesterday showed that 13% estimate that we previously had has fallen now to about just over 11%. And that's welcome news because in June we had 210,000 jobs come back into the economy. Now, that is the biggest surge in jobs in 1 month that we've ever seen on the figures. Now, that is encouraging. Now, we've got a long way to go. There's no doubt about that. The headline rate of unemployment, much less than that 11% figure. But we know that the figure is up around that mark. And so that's why it's so important that we just keep our focus on creating jobs and opening up the economy, making sure we get on top and stay on top of the health challenges, because these things work together to create jobs. And yesterday we announced $2 billion of additional investment for apprentices, for skills training, some 340,000 places, 180,000 apprentices. Our business is creating jobs because that's what Australians need.
OK, you've got a report coming out next week on JobKeeper. I know Josh Frydenberg is making some big announcements then. But why not give some people some certainty now, especially in Melbourne, for Melbourne businesses there who are really terrified in this second lockdown?
Well, we've already done that. I've been saying now for some time that there'll be further income support. There'll be a new phase of that that will succeed the arrangements we have right now. We've been putting the final touches on those arrangements even just this week, as we've been working on that over the last few weeks since we've received the JobKeeper review. So we'll be making those announcements next week. We've made it very clear, and I made this very clear to Dan Andrews, the Premier, when we've been speaking about the crisis there, that there will be continued support, and it'll be targeted at those who need it most. It'll be there for everyone who needs it, based on the impact on their businesses and the impact on their employees.
OK, so there will be ongoing support past September. That's good news. Now, today's announcement is new funding to attract blockbuster movies to our shore. The entertainment industry has been crying out for help. 8,000 jobs a year, is that going to be enough?
Well, that's 8,000 jobs, and it's an important part of our arts and entertainment sector, and it comes on top of the $100 million, multi-million dollar package that we put, $250 million, I should say, a few weeks back, and that was for the broader entertainment industry. But this is about 8,000 jobs. It's about sparkies, about caterers, it's about those working on set, it's the production people, it's those who provide the accommodation and the motorhomes and all of those. People often think this is just jobs for actors. No, well, there is job for actors, but they're importantly for all the trades and other skills that go into making that sector. And 8,000 jobs is a lot of jobs, and that's extending that support out. We know, because Australia has done so well. Remember, 7 states and territories are still in a very, very good situation, and that has been noticed around the world, and we're seen as a place that can handle these issues, and we are, and that is an opportunity for us to attract more of these productions. Our existing supports already do that, but this will go even further, and I'm looking forward to making that announcement up in Queensland later today.
OK, there's some unbelievable claims coming out of the Northern Hemisphere today, Prime Minister. We want to get your thoughts on them. The global race for a COVID vaccine is creating a lot of tensions. Russia is now being accused of trying to steal information, hacking into researchers. Are you aware of any Russian attempts to hack our own systems or elections in Australia?
Well, we don't make attributions lightly on these things, and a few weeks ago I made some very strong statements about the cyber intrusions that were occurring from state-based actors, and we're very aware of those issues, and that's why we take the measures and the protections that we do. Hundreds of millions of more being put into our cyber security. But I've got to encourage people that the broader conversation that is being held between leaders, and I speak to them every week. I was just speaking to the Prime Minister of Singapore yesterday. It has been about searching for that vaccine, but not just searching for that vaccine together, but ensuring that when one is found, that there is the production and distribution capabilities to ensure it can get as far and wide as quickly as possible. And I believe that will be the focus of the global effort, and certainly the effort that Australia will be putting in.
Okay. Prime Minister, just quickly on this one, the top experts are backing calls for Melbourne residents to wear masks in public. There have been some calls for you to be seen in a mask in public. Should they be mandatory in public for Australians?
Well, we're following the medical advice, and the medical advice in Melbourne and across Victoria, particularly in aged care facilities, is to wear masks where you can't social distance, and that in places where there are gatherings, indoor in particular, where you're in public transport and things of that nature. That's the medical advice. That is not the case in New South Wales or the ACT or Queensland, Western Australia, all the other parts of the country. And were that to be the advice, that's what we'd be recommending. And so in Victoria and in Melbourne in particular, it's important that people do that. That's what the recommendation is. And as we track the impact of the virus, then if further measures are necessary, then they'll be taken. So, we've been following the medical advice, and that's what it says.
Okay, we know you've got another interview. We'll let you go. Prime Minister, thanks for your time today.
And thank you very much for that wonderful report there. As the Prime Minister said, jobs, getting the jobs back to the country, and especially in the arts and the movie industry, that's a big economic that we can be done through that. So, those are the things that have to be really focused on. Now, I talked about the people who have been recognized, the Queensland's greats. So let's hear from our Premier and see what Daniel the Monckham's family been recognized as well. So let's touch on that issue next.
Well, if Australia's the lucky country, certainly Queensland's the lucky state. So to be recognised as a Queensland great within that is something really special, and go Queensland.
Well, we've established the Daniel Monckam Foundation 15 years ago. In that time, we've been able to establish the largest Child Safety Day, which is called Day for Daniel. This year, we anticipate to have around 4,000 schools and childcare centres participate.
It means so much to me to see agriculture recognised, because in Queensland at present, so many of them are still suffering the horrific drought. And my heart goes out to them, and for me to be presented with this award today, I really feel honoured to represent them and 128 shows throughout Queensland as well.
To receive this award is probably the greatest honour I've had bestowed on me. But in saying that, I feel very humbled, because this work is never about one person. Domestic violence work's about a lot of people out there doing a lot of hard yards.
I felt really embarrassed when it was first announced, because I don't consider myself a Queensland great, if that makes sense. And so to me, it's really an acknowledgement at the very heart of what we're about is really the ordinary person, the ordinary thing becomes the extraordinary thing, because Queensland's built on ordinary people doing ordinary things day after day, which makes it extraordinary.
I've had a wonderful career in journalism, and I've been lucky enough to be one of the first female editors appointed to a daily newspaper, and I managed to stay in that position for a couple of decades. To be a Queenslander is an absolute privilege, and Queensland has given me so much. It's just a wonderful state. I think if we have the opportunity to give back a little, I think it's very gratifying.
Most passionate for me and my wife is the AIU Foundation that provides services for young children with autism. When our son Andy was diagnosed with severe autism back in 2003, and the services were very limited, I felt very empowered based on what they'd done in the past to set up the AIU service. And we've had a lot of people work hard on it, and it's been an amazing journey.
Obviously this is the best state, so when to get recognised specifically for this type of award, it just means even more. His family are very proud to receive this award on his behalf. I know he would be absolutely stoked to receive an award like this.
Yeah, it's a real honour to receive this award on behalf of PCYC, and it really is a testament to the dedication of our staff, our volunteers, our police officers who have been there for the last 72 years, working hand in hand with the community and with the young people to make sure that they get the best possible start that they could. Queensland's greatest state, obviously, and this award, being a Queensland great, is a real honour.
And isn't it wonderful to see all the greats being recognised at the Parliament House? And as I said later on today, the Governor of Queensland is holding a special reception for the OIM recipients this year. That's today. And we'll bring the report to you tomorrow as we'll be taking part in that. Now, one of the other news which is quite good, and it is long time coming, is the inclusion of the Torres Strait Islander people within our community as well. The adoption into the preamble that was the multicultural charter that has been put out there. So the government has been working very hard to implement. But right now, when we have someone from the Torres Strait Islander community within our parliament, and that's a wonderful thing to see as well. So let's look at that report.
I feel extremely proud as the first Torres Strait Islander Member of Parliament, the member of the Palaszczuk government, to be able to stand in Parliament today to introduce this bill on behalf of the Torres Strait Islander community, and it signifies a very important step in bridging the gap between government and First Nations people.
Remember, this was our law, LORE, and now today, this morning it was being LAW, introduced that in a way of how our people would benefit and continue to have that practice, the child-rearing practice of Torres Strait Islanders, and how significant it is and how it is for our people, the practice that we have practiced for many, many years.
Most of our families have been waiting for this for a long time. Some of the children have now grown up and some of them are yet to come. And this will help our families in the Torres Strait and in the state of Queensland.
And that is a wonderful move. As we know, we've been working within the multicultural communities, and as the president of Queensland Multicultural Council, it gives me great pleasure to see that bill being introduced in the parliament and by none other than a member from the community. Isn't that wonderful? This is the way forward. And of course, everyone has got their own views, but, that is my strong belief as the people of the land here. We need to give the due recognition and move forward in that way. Well, talking about the borders and all the people coming in and the traffic. So let's take a very quick look at this report before we move on to the next segment of the news today. And as you can see, the traffic being backed up way all along. So this is going to be a weekend, and if you are going to make a weekend out, plan your trip, make sure that you check out the routes and check the traffic report and see what the traffic's doing before you put your foot to the metal, as they say. So there could be long, lengthy delays. Everyone's trying to get out there at the same time. So there are long queues on the roads, and also be very, very careful on the roads. Take care, especially driving out there with the family, as the tests are there. And there are checkpoints at the borders as well. So, please be very careful. Allow enough time wherever you're traveling to so that, there is no confusion and things. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Australian Indian Radio's daily Facebook Live update, and right now it's time to take a commercial break.
ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी 1989 से लेकर अब तक का विश्वसनीय और माननीय ब्रिस्बेन का रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। उषा चंद्रा, जो कि ग्लोबनेट की डायरेक्टर है, अपने ग्राहकों को ईमानदार और एथिक सर्विसेज देती हैं। अगर आप ब्रिस्बेन की प्रॉपर्टी में पूंजी लगाना चाहते हैं और आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी प्रॉपर्टी को प्रोफेशनली मैनेज किया जाए, तो आप आज ही कांटेक्ट कीजिए उषा चंद्रा को। लैंडलाइन नंबर है 38654466 और मोबाइल नंबर है 0419775416। और आप प्रॉपर्टी की अधिक जानकारी और करंट अपडेट्स के लिए हमारी वेबसाइट पे लॉगिन कर सकते हैं। हमारी वेबसाइट है www.globenetreality.com.au। ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी आपका अपना लोकल रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। हमारा पता है ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी, शॉप नंबर 5, 2281 Sandgate Road, Bundall, Queensland. Globenet Realty. Real estate is our world.
And it definitely is the world, because everything revolves around real estate in the Delhi. So it's wonderful to see, the news that are coming in of the Torres Strait Islander people and that adoption of that bill in the Parliament. It is a very, very good move forward. Well, right now, let's move on to the news in brief. So the first news is British government accuses Russia of hacking coronavirus research. As we said before, whenever there's talk of spies, even in the very early days, the younger days when we used to watch all these Spanish movies, there's always talk about the Russian spy. So British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab alleged that Russian hackers are trying to steal information from researchers seeking a coronavirus vaccine, calling out the Russian government for their behavior during a global pandemic.
What I can also tell you today is that with our US-Canadian counterparts, we have also making it clear, and we've released a statement indicating that we know that the Russian intelligence agencies have been targeting, in terms of cyber attacks, against efforts across those three countries and here in the UK, our attempt to find a vaccine through research and development for coronavirus. And I think that's pretty appalling, I have to say. At a time where the world's coming together, we're all trying to find a vaccine that both our people and people around the world can benefit from.
And as we know that even Australia is not immune, and the Prime Minister was asked that same question this morning as well. Hackers are targeting politicians and pop stars in sweeping account scam. As we know, there's a lot of scammers out there, and lately there has been a large number of telemarketers calling from all over the world and trying to sell you everything, comparing your energy bill and all sorts of things that they are. So be very wary of the scams, and especially be very careful online, what links you click on, and if you're opening emails, be very careful there as well. As National Technology reporter says, that it's still known who is responsible, but hackers are out there and doing that.
Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, Bill Gates. It's a roll call of wealthy A-listers, and today they offered to double people's money via Bitcoin. The offer was too good to be true. It was a hack.
Hopefully people at this point are pretty used to seeing those types of scams on Twitter.
Joe Biden and Barack Obama were also targeted in the hack, as well as the corporate accounts of Apple and Uber. Twitter is still investigating, but thinks hackers tricked employees with access to internal systems.
Attackers got control of some sort of admin panel. That basically means the employees have access to some sort of panel where they can change things for Twitter accounts.
How that was achieved is not known.
It could be attackers who did an email phish attack on an employee.
With the ever-increasing virtual presence and everyone using everything online storage on the cloud, so much sensitive data is shared online these days as well. So, it is very, very scary that this material could be, accessed by hackers. In the olden days, we talked about security. You had a very good guard dog outside the house, you were safe. Then the security bars came in, and the house protection, then the security cameras, the alarm systems. Now, virtual reality. So, how do we protect ourselves in this ever-changing world of technology and in the virtual world? When, there's not a lot happening outside. People are sitting inside, and scammers and hackers are thinking of these ways of getting into people's account, hacking those accounts, and all sorts of things that are happening. So it is scary out there, but this is what we have to deal with it. This is the way of the current world. Well, right now here, let's move on to finance, and let's see what's happening in the business world.
A group of bright sparks are throwing their support behind fast-tracking energy reform to stimulate the economy. A full-page newspaper ad appearing tomorrow and signed by the likes of Atlassian's Mike Cannon-Brookes and Tesla's Mark Twiddle says the economic crisis is an opportunity to redesign the national electricity market. And it wants the first meeting of energy ministers since the rollout of the National Cabinet to spearhead the reforms. The Australia Institute's Climate and Energy Director, Richie Merzian, joined me. Richie, the COAG Energy Council is working on a redesign of the market for 2025. Why bring it forward a couple of years?
The federal government is supposed to spend billions of dollars right across the economy. There's a real opportunity to tie that in with the reform that's currently underway in the NEM. So why wait to 2025 when you can bring that forward and align the redesign with the potentially hundreds of billions that will ultimately be spent?
Why the approach for an open letter, and why now?
Look, this is the last COAG Energy Council as we know it, and so there'll be a redesign of the actual process. We've seen previous councils dragged down by having an agenda far too long than they're able to work through it. So part of it is just a process question. If they're going to decide how to move forward with the energy agenda, then let's prioritise it. And our open letter just brings that to the fore. It says prioritise which agenda items should be coming first, the reform of the NEM under the 2025 ESB process, pause the items that haven't really gotten the time of day, and then align it with the broader government agenda, which is to stimulate the economy and do it through investing in a modern grid.
Energy.
And next up, we speak to Dr. Jenny Chastis from the Melbourne Graduate School of Education as she speaks to Rachel and talking about job trainers. So let's see what she has to say.
As unemployment mounts, the government has unveiled its snappy new job trainer program. The $2 billion package includes $500 million to be matched by the states for training or reskilling people looking for a job amid the coronavirus pandemic, and a $1.5 billion boost to TAFEs. Education expert Dr. Jenny Chastis says the government needs to look at employment opportunities, not just training opportunities. Dr. Jenny Chastis, welcome to The Business.
Pleasure to be here.
What do you think of the government's $2 billion package?
Well, obviously any money is a help, but I think the government needs to be looking at more long-term programs that they can roll out over a period of 3 or 4 years rather than less than 1 year.
Is the job trainer program going to significantly help those now 1 million people who are out of a job?
Probably not many of them will get helped by it. The program's going to provide some extra training positions, but we haven't really got the details yet. The states are going to have to work that out. We have to look at the workforce of who is going to be training these people. That's another issue. And we also have to look at who's going to qualify. So is it for school leavers or is it for people who are currently unemployed?
What kind of jobs do we need to see more of?
That's, of course, a $64 million question these days, because the problem is we don't know what the jobs are going to be like in the future. I think the government is targeting some areas such as healthcare, which, of course, will be a growth industry from now on.
And Dr. Jenny, they are making a very, very good point. Now, when you're looking at employment in today's day and age, you have to look at some innovative ways. This morning, we came across a report about the company that's been, researching and have put forward and invested in toilet papers. And of course, that's recognizing the importance of the toilet paper and the sign of time. So amid all this pandemic, they are doing a good, roaring business. Employment in such a manner, also there's a program for neurodiversity success as well. So let's hear from that news.
Hey, y'all going? I'm good. At the moment, I start the day at 9 a.m. I do some work until 9:30 when I have my daily meeting with my team. We'll discuss what we've got on for the day.
It's been a bit annoying trying to do remote work on a Windows computer.
My name's Sam Castleman. I'm a blockchain developer at IBM here in Ballarat, and I am on the autism spectrum.
Have you ever come back to the exec dash? The mobile app's written in React Native now, so you might actually be able to help.
So my opportunity with IBM started with a hiring program I found about through a friend.
3, 2, 1, go.
I just applied, not expecting too much, and eventually I was one of the 10 offered the final position.
And we'd like to...
So there is no shortage of ideas and things that can be done. All we have to do is come up with a vaccine for coronavirus. That's the call of the day. Let's see who's the first one to put that one out. Well, right now when we're talking about many innovative ways, government announces new skills package. And let's go to Holland Park.
We always take on a new apprentice every year, and I guess there has been conversation and questions over, what should we do this year?
Ella Brown's home construction business is busy with existing work. But even with recent renovation grants, uncertainty about the future is making her nervous.
The question is still, what's coming up. We're definitely, seeing interest and inquiry, but it's something we're very mindful of in the later part of the year and for early next year.
Ella employs 7 apprentices. She's been using the Morrison government's wage subsidy scheme to help pay them.
As I mentioned a few days back, that trade is the way forward as well, because we have been putting too much focus on the academic part as well, the vocational training, and of course we need all tradies of all different kinds into the industry as well. And when the government is putting in initiatives in that area, so I think that's the area of focus for many people moving forward. Right now, let's take a quick look at finance for today before we move on with closing the show for today.
To finance now, the Australian dollar was unaffected by today's employment figures. Here's Alan Kohler.
Well, the share market's been in a nervous holding pattern for about a month, digesting the 37% rally that went from March the 23rd to June the 10th. The hot buy now, pay later stocks have been shooting up, but not today, with Zip and Sezzle down a lot, Afterpay down a bit. And among the leaders, CSL and QBE led the falls. Today's news, apart from those Australian employment figures, was June quarter GDP out of China, and its economy expanded by 3.2%, rebounding from the 6.8% contraction in the previous quarter, thanks to a decline in coronavirus cases and a big increase in government spending on infrastructure and construction. But despite that, the Chinese...
Now, that was a pretty scary graph there as well. So when we're looking at global markets, China's down 2.9, Hong Kong down 1.3, Japan is down 0.08, while US has gone up 0.9%. It is a small move upward, but it is again a move upward. But right now, let's take a very quick look at the upcoming functions and events. As we know, there's many functions which have begun. The date to mark is the 15th of August for India Day Fair. As we know, India Day Fair in its original format cannot be held this year because outdoor fair or festival style event will be very hard to manage. So it is going indoors. It will be a grand style dinner function held at well, I can make that announcement. It's Brisbane City Hall. So Brisbane City Hall will be hosting the India Day Fair's 10th anniversary edition, and lucky people will be in there in the hall during those festivities, and the part it will be all live telecasted as well. So, people, it will be live streamed throughout the world, so you can join in. But mark that date, 15th of August. Look out for the website. Look out for the announcement of booking the tickets. Be Fest in Best Dressed will be, because of the restrictions, there's a limited number of people who can only get in. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been wonderful having your company. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I'm going to leave you with a clip, and I'm indulging with that because often Facebook plays funny games when you put on a video clip which has got music in it. We had few of our clips which were muted in certain parts, but after disputing those ones, they have been released. But originally, it becomes very, embarrassing when you put on a clip and then it gets muted. But anyway, this is the way to enjoy your weekend. Until next time, it's goodbye from me. Enjoy this clip.
आओ जी